KFC, my dude. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing this fine evening? Hey, 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 hey. Gothic, hey there. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for... Hey, Lils. Welcome back. Yes, we got a live stream. Karen Hare. Hello, hello. Tammy, you want to be my dude? What's up, my dude? My duder. The night just got a whole lot better. It did, it did. Brett, thank you. Yeah, staying well. I think the number one thing to talk about is fighting the uncertainty, I suppose, is the weirdest part. Not to jump right into it, but I guess it's pretty much what everybody's going to be talking about for a while. Oh, the background music, yes. That's it's called Chill Mix 2020, 2 hours by Mixhound, but I'm sure it's got, like right now, this is AK by Pulses, or Pulses by AK, I'm not really sure. Probably Pulses by AK. Hey, from New Zealand, what's happening? How's life in New Zealand? You don't want this to be super scary? Alright. I will do my best. It's subjective though, so my voice is calming. You need a calming voice in this troublesome time. And I will be that voice in the wilderness. Calling out. Alana, you're finally awake. I'm glad. You have awoken at the most perfect time. Yeah, this is we can call the chrono lockup stream. The nice thing about that is we may not, by government mandate, be recommended or allowed to gather, but they can't stop the internet, or they could too. But this is where we will find our solace. I don't know, solace or solace, one of the two. Hey, two big donos run after another. Bub with the 5. Buckaroo says, thank you for bringing up stories to keep us hopeful and entertained. Times are trying, but you make it easier. Shout out to my wife and I. Shout out to you, Bub. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. You and the wifey. I know this can be very difficult, but I'm glad I can be something of a distraction from it. If I end up talking about it too much, just tell me to STFU, because I want to move on as much as the last person. Sugar Mills with the 10 buckaroonies says, rested my feet from work at a veterinary clinic. Yeah, nice. Honestly, I bet you guys are moving around constantly. And, you know, whenever I was a nurse, to a large degree, I thought, man, I wish I could just deal with animals, because then I wouldn't have to deal with the crazy people at the hospital. But I also realized that pretty much even like the most well-behaved animal is going to be confused when you're coming at them with a needle, even for a basic blood draw or something like that. So I'm sure like every patient is quite the experience. Waifu, I missed out on a heck of a fun time in Ram Ranch last night. Damn. Where was I? What was I doing? I don't even know. I think I passed out a little bit early. Yeah, I was like, because I had woken up yesterday early for a doctor's appointment, so I had only gotten like 4 hours of sleep. And then I think I was kind of like gunning to get a video out for yesterday. And then by the time everything got settled in, I finally started to chill out, and I just like passed out from like 7 to 11. And then I took Z-Quil, which, man, that stuff's pretty helpful for just knocking yourself out. Though you do kind of feel groggy in the morning, and which then just makes me want to pass back out. My favored color. That's a good question. I do really like sort of like greenish blue type colors, I think. And I definitely enjoy the colors of my like avatar. Something about green is just pretty cool. Hey, Venus Flahai Trap with the 10 buckos. So it's good to be back, Joel. Exactly what I needed after work today. Bless. Thank you, Venus Venus Flytrap. Thank you. I'm glad to see people are still at work. I had heard some interesting stuff about some Corona bucks going around. I don't know if you're making a certain amount of if you're making a certain amount of money, that the government is, for those that are unemployed currently because of all of this and the whole social distancing, that there will be a distribution of about $1,000 to each household, but also maybe potentially more depending on if you have any dependents and all that kind of stuff. So that was interesting to me because it's, it sounds very similar to the sort of like a temporary UBI scenario that you heard from like Andrew Yang. And I don't know if anybody knows any more about that or the sort of time frame or the delivery in which that happens, but I do hope I don't know, that is beneficial for those in need, especially those who are unemployed. And a lot of businesses are taking a hit too by being forced to stay closed. And I heard that there's certain loans you can take out, like $2 million loan or something like that, hypothetically, and at a very, very, very low interest rate. I don't know. You get taxed for the 1,000. That's so typical. It's like you pay taxes to create the 1,000 that then gets dispersed to you, only to then be taxed again. Like, Jesus Christ, like, where does it end with the government? Just never. It's just they constantly milking us for every goddamn dollar we're worth. It's like the whole fucking mess started because of a negligent government from the very beginning, and then spread because of, in certain areas due to lack of response and lack of communication from these governments. And then all of a sudden it's the governments that, push authoritarian, approaches to your life. You know what I mean? Just fucking insanity to me, man. It's just one goddamn thing after another. I swear to God, from just the most inept human beings on earth, expected to just run everything. And then I think the most frustrating part to me is the individuals that start to just the sort of general social, concepts that have been created in people's mind because of, this, even just the concept of a virus. You know what I mean? You don't shake hands, don't hug, don't meet in like public gatherings. Like, it's essentially the government's just saying, like, shut down, all of existence until we deem that, things are all right. And now, granted, I suppose those are the appropriate responses to a degree, and you do have to look out for yourself and your loved ones in that regard. But it's just, even just the term social distancing pisses me off. It's just like the most PC nonsense I've ever fucking heard in my life. Like, social distancing. Keep your, never, never once is there ever going to be like ever some terminology that's used to like speak some type of truth about this ridiculousness and its origins. And I just I get so frustrated with it because everything about it just to me feels nefarious and frustrated. And honestly, it could be helpful for people to be self-quarantined, because most of us, at least for me, I mean, by comparison of previous generations, I'm definitely a no-lifer to a degree in certain regards, very socially isolated. But I don't know, it just gets frustrating because I hate being told what to do. I'm stamping my feet, And I think the biggest frustration is that, like, there's places in, like, New Jersey that I heard that are on curfew from, like, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Like, somebody tell me what the fuck difference is that going to do by having you inside, locked in your house, by, penalty of misdemeanor or law, just by, leaving your house between certain hours. Like, what is the difference in how it would spread? It just doesn't not make any sense to me. Anyways, we're going to be reading some true scary stories tonight. They're just basic ones that people had submitted from Reddit, so that's going to be litty titty. I think even the bigger frustrating part to me is the people that kind of go like hook, line, and sinker with everything the government says. So, like, hypothetically, you exist in like an area that is is enacting some sort of a quarantine or a what do they call it? The curfew. And say you stepped out, you said, "Fuck this shit, I'm going to go see my fucking girlfriend," or whatever, whoever, and left, and then I don't know, you had somebody like rat you out or whatever, or like ostracize you from the culture because of actions that you've taken that were of defiance to the almighty government, you know what I mean? And that to me is the biggest frustration. Is more, you've already noticed like the social panic that had initially, I'm sure it's starting to die down a little bit, but it is initially and still being felt from the media, which is just like a fucking, pretty clearly just like a megaphone for any sort of government entity. And pretty much any idea that they want to place in your head in the manner in which concepts such as social distancing or ostracizing your neighbors that choose to disobey, like that kind of shit to me pisses me off, because it's like that's the kind of stuff that like disconnects people from society or makes society weaker, because I don't know, you don't trust each other, you know what I mean? You start to not trust each other, and that's the last thing you want to do, is be divided in a time where you being divided is probably just going to make things weaker. Jessica with the 10 buckaroos says, "Stay safe and healthy out there. Thanks for giving us something to occupy our minds while on quarantine. We also have time restrictions here. That's not everything non-essential closes at 8 p.m. in New York. Unreal." Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I don't know the specifics, so I can't necessarily speak upon it completely, but it's weird. Are you guys, I mean, you can just at me in the chat. You don't have to donate again or anything like that, but I'm just curious, like, is this like, is it like a curfew? Is it, you know what I mean? And it worries me in areas like Jersey, like New York, and all of those kind of like high city zones, like to what, at what point is there going to be a justification from the sort of powers that be that, oh, it's time to, enact medical martial law or some shit like that, or we need to start really limiting like people's movement. And to me, it just pisses me off, because like in any state of panic, in any state of like fear, under the guise of, national security and your own well-being, the government will, don't worry, we'll take it into our hands to take away your liberties and rights, specifically to help you. It's all just to help you, you know what I mean? So obviously there are things that we can do as a society to avoid this, but the amount of faith that's constantly put into government, which is just me and you know what I mean? It's just, we're just people, and you're just putting faith in the people, but people that operate within the concepts of hierarchy, you know, like, I don't know. It just pisses me off. And I think hierarchy is one of my biggest frustrations with the human race, because it's like, it's so arbitrary. It's like that scene from, you know, Batman, where Bane, he's like, what the, I'm in charge here. And he's like, oh, do you feel like you're in charge? You know what I mean? And like, because at the end of the day, like, you know, being in charge or being at the tippy top of a hierarchy is really just like a, what do they call it? Like the emperor wears no clothes type scenario, or like a glass sort of like paper castle, I guess, or whatever. It's all just an idea, this, you know, that, and most of the time people just obey things because it's sort of like part of a herd mentality, and that's the shit that pisses me off. And I'm already like, you know, you can view it, you can see it happening in your societies based on sort of a disseminated piece of information, and it's just frustrating. Captain Codependent with the 5 bucks says, EMT here, got infected on the job. Thanks for the stories while this is going on. Sending love from Washington State. Yikes, Captain. Yeah, I mean, I am curious. I mean, the manner in which the virus sort of operates within our body is the sort of unfortunate response that it creates within our immune system. From what I hear, is that like once it sort of affects different cells within your lungs, you know, or something. I saw a pretty good video on Reddit about it, but at the same time, I don't really feel like it goes into like a hyper amount of detail, but it definitely makes it simple. Eventually, it's almost like your own immune system, once it's infected, it gets confused, and then it starts to tell certain cells to hurt itself, which then leaves you more vulnerable to different infections from bacteria and stuff, and hence pneumonia, and then, you know, slowly your sort of ability to, you know, have respiratory function starts to kind of shut down. And it's obviously very similar to the flu, but in the way that works, and usually a younger, healthier immune system can fight it off, but I guess it's just how rapidly it can infect others around you, and they're not there's not absolutely certain sometime I guess, you know, just the general its ability to live on surfaces, its ability to exist within the air, but every day it's like new information rolls out, and it's just trying your best to stay educated with that. Gothic Rose with the 5 Canadian maple syrup bucks says, please take care of yourselves, Buttersock Cult. Yes, guys, please do. Keep your immune systems up. Vitamin C, vitamin D3, K2. All of those things, all those hippy-dippy things that you heard about that help your immune system, it is very true. You know, people talk about antivirals, bacterials, but the number, you know, what do they say? An ounce of cure goes miles beyond like a pound of, or weighs more than a pound of, or no, an ounce of prevention weighs more than a pound of cure, or something like that. So really, all of the things that you've been taught about your immune system, washing your hands and all that kind of stuff, it does help. Alright guys, enough of my rambling here. I've kind of taken that a little bit far. But we're going to kick off these stories. Switch over to our good friend Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse, who does all the music on the channel. And if you're also a content creator within this sort of same niche, definitely be sure to use him, as he is so prolific with his output of dark ambient. And I don't know if you guys been able to tell, but the music that gets used on the channel is, you know, when you listen to it, it's not very interfering, I guess you could say. Or rather, it doesn't sort of interfere with your experience or distract you. Oh, okay, yeah, an ounce of prevention weighs more than a pound of cure. But yeah, good evening to everybody. We're almost at 350, which is actually more than we normally start with, I believe. Normally we'll start around like 200 people, so that's pretty solid. Click the like button if you haven't already. I'm going to share this out if you guys want to share it out on Twitter or any of your social media to get all those good people and alert them, because sometimes YouTube doesn't sort of naturally alert everyone that a video or a live stream's going on. So I'm doing my part. If you want to stay up to date on when streams are coming out, be sure to follow me on social media, which usually Twitter's the best one because it's where I post the most frequent, but there's also Instagram. Twitter is Let's Read Creepy, and then Instagram is Let's Read.official. That's all linked down below. And then also join the Discord too. Just a lot of good people in there, a lot of like-minded creative individuals in there, and maybe you can meet some friends and also be notified when new shit comes out. Also, if you want to hear your story, sorry, this is my whole spiel here, on the channel, go to reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. That's linked down below, and you can submit your stuff there, or you can submit it to me over email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. I get a lot of stuff that way, and then I'll end up posting them under my moniker on the Let's Read subreddit. But let's kick this off. You want to call me anything but Joel, like Jose or something? Hey, that's your prerogative. You are more than welcome to call me anything you'd like. I used to work as a manager of a fast food place. Shit. Get the squeaks out of my throat first. A little bit of a warm-up. Who's keeping track of mistakes here? That's number one. You've got Google and you don't know what that... Yeah, so Discord's kind of like... It's almost like chat room communities that you can make. And within those, there's different channels within the chat room, within the Discord community, that you can post, different topics and stuff like that. But then also one of the cool things is that you can chat in voice chats with people. So a lot of people that are here right now actually have been in my Discord chatting with me personally. And, and yeah, if that's something you would like to do, if you want to get to know me or even see my face, which is over on the selfies and pets channel on the Discord, you can pop over there. You can even lurk and just kind of see some of the nonsense that I post on there. It's a little less censored than here on YouTube would be. I used to work as a manager of a fast food place in a rather seedy part of a medium-sized city. I'd worked at the nicer location until they decided to transfer me, and there were rumors that the location I ended up getting sent to was going to be shut down, which didn't end up Oh, no. Oh, wait, did I already read this shit? Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm fairly certain I had already read this. Shoot, sometimes that happens. Let me check. Yeah, I think... Let me go to the end real quick just to see. Oh yeah, I did read this. Man, that's weird. How did that happen? You fool. Well, my buddy Robin, who makes the thumbnails, I told him to do one based on this, but thumbnail for this, so I'll have to tell him that it's it's different now. Fuck. Shit. Alright, no worries. Hopefully he didn't already make something. Okay. Alright, well, this one, we'll skip that one then. We're moving on to this one. This one's about vacations, so don't read last story. It's a little reminder to myself. So a few years ago, my boyfriend's dad's family decided to get together and all chip in to rent a condo in Ontario and get together. There was a big extended family over there that his dad never saw, because he only really got along with one of his 3 sisters. My boyfriend's mom had talked him into going, though, and they let me tag along, because I'd been around long enough that they liked me and trusted me. I can't remember where everyone else had gone. I think it was the beach for what was possibly like the 3rd time that day. It was just me and my boyfriend at the condo, because we were kind of sick of the beach and just wanted to do nothing in the shade for a while. We were sitting outside, looking over the water and just kind of talking about life. I had just finished reading the Harry Potter series, so we were just kind of talking about that for a bit when this woman comes out of the brush beside the condo. Just for an idea, this condo was about an acre of land, maybe. It was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. The front of the condo was probably 70 feet from a dirt road no one traveled down really, and there were some dense trees and brush and whatnot that surrounded 3 sides of it. This woman comes out of the wooded area, and I immediately knew something wasn't right. She was limping, and she only had on 1 sandal, and frankly looked terrible. She was pale, and her face was gaunt. She was really, really pretty, but she just looked exhausted. The thing that immediately caught my attention was her baby, who she was holding pretty tightly in her arms as she started to come towards us. I didn't really know what to do, but my boyfriend immediately got up and walked over to make sure she was okay. I couldn't help but think of all the awful things that might have happened after spending so many hours hearing this. Oops. Oh, sorry. We got a dono from good old Anophis with the 2, with the heart. Thank you, Anophis. Thank you. I couldn't help but think of all the I couldn't help but think of all the awful things that might have happened. After spending so many hours hearing these horror stories on Reddit, I was just terrified she'd do something. My boy is a lot more trusting than I am, though, and he's always had the first instinct of, what's the problem and how can I help? He's never assumed the bad in anybody. So this woman is just sobbing by the time she gets to the porch of the condo, and she looks like she's just been through a war zone. She's shaking and hyperventilating and crying, and she's telling us that basically her boyfriend had been drunk for a while and he's been getting worse and worse, and he's been an overall abusive guy. He'd get angry whenever she was focusing on the baby instead of him, and part of what made him mad was that it wasn't his kid, so he kind of didn't care about the baby at all. She told us how this time in particular he was drunk and she was driving home. With the baby in the back seat, he grabbed the baby's booster seat and tore it out of the car and threw it out the window while they were driving. She got the baby out of the seat or something. I don't remember how, because as she was telling us about how she started hitting... I don't remember how, because as she's telling us about how he started hitting her before she took the baby and ran, we hear this yelling, and we turn and see this angry dude walking up to the condo, and she starts losing it. Drunk and angry, this guy followed her to our condo and was starting to come up to us. He was trying to act like he wasn't mad. He was doing an, "Oh, you guys found her, thank you so much, maybe let's go home," kind of thing, but he was slurring his speech and not doing a good job of hiding how mad he was. My boy has always been a pacifist. Honestly, he's even kind of a pushover. He's really non-confrontational and tries to find a way to talk stuff out and come to an agreement before doing anything, but before I could even say anything, he's across the yard and approaching this guy. As much of a pacifist as he is, he's also huge. He's built like a football player. He's 6'3", and at the time, he was 230 pounds. I've known my boy since we were 10. At the time, we were 20, and we've been dating for just over a year. I knew him better than anyone. He's never done anything like this before, and he goes up to this guy and goes, Not another step, dude. And he's shaking as he says it. The guy tries to walk around my boy and goes, oh, I was fucking confused. She keeps saying my boy, but I think she means like her boyfriend. Is that what that is? The boyfriend? Because at first I thought it was like her son or some shit like that. Shit, I don't know. The guy tries to walk around my boy and goes, no, it's okay. I'm just here to take her home. And he steps in front of him and shakes his head. You're drunk, he said. So I'm going to pretend like maybe you didn't get what I just said. Don't come any closer. It's at this point the guy stops trying to pretend and he says something like, you don't know what's going on. That's my girlfriend and I'm going to take her home. And he tries rounding my boyfriend again. And one more time my boyfriend blocks him and goes, stop. I've never heard this tone in his voice before or since. It was scary. It wasn't him. The guy tried one more time before my boyfriend finally put his hand on his chest and pushed him back a bit, keeping his hand on the chest. Whoops. Baby blue blooder socks. Who's got baby blue? I can't even say it. That's a tongue twister. Try to say baby blue butter socks 5 times fast. Chaff girl. Or Chaffy girl. I don't know how to say that. You have only missed pretty much the first story, so you're good to go. We got 7 total here tonight. So you got plenty more. My boink. My boy. Hey, boy. Okay. This guy tried one more time before my boy finally put his hand on his chest and pushed him back a bit, keeping his hand on the guy's chest. I'm telling you right now, you're not going anywhere near that girl and her child, so turn around and walk away. This guy was about 5'6", maybe 5'7", so when he looked up to threaten my boyfriend, he had looked like a kid. The guy finally looks up at my boyfriend and he says something that I couldn't hear. My boyfriend said something back and then the guy stared at him for a moment, like he was deciding whether or not to do anything. My boyfriend finally pushed him away, and the guy stumbled back, and then started pointing at me and the girl as he was saying something, and then started to walk away. I didn't learn till the next day, but the guy had told my boyfriend that he had a gun, and that he was coming back, and that he'd kill him and I if we stopped him again. My boyfriend's response to this changed depending on who's telling the story. Origin told me that he told the guy he'd feed him his own teeth, which made me laugh because he's such a dork and he got that from a movie, and ever since then the line he tells everyone else is, I'll be waiting. The woman was sobbing. The baby was sobbing and I was shaking because even though he didn't throw any punches or anything, I could tell that he was ready to hurt this guy if anything else had happened. We called the police and didn't really do much of anything outside of make sure everyone was breathing and take the girl to her sister's place. We didn't really hear much from her after, but I know my boyfriend sent her an email once or twice, and she's married now to someone else and had another kid last time they talked. It was a really nice trip, despite that part, and a fight my boyfriend's dad... Wait. P-meal? What is this, P-meal? Sorry, it says... It was a really nice trip, despite that part, and a fight my boy's dad got into with someone in his family. I had P-meal. Pamil? The fuck is Pamil? The Ghost Killer Landry with the 139 Canadian with the 100. Thank you. And Aylin with the Buckaroo. Thank you. P-meal. History of Canadian P-meal bacon. The fuck is that? The fuck is P-meal bacon? Sounds gross. It's like turkey. Oh, P-meal bacon is a wet, cured, unsmoked back bacon made from trimmed lean boneless pork loin rolled in cornmeal and is found mainly in southern Ontario. Interesting. I wonder how you say it. Pea meal. Is it just pea meal? I hope I'm not pronouncing. If any Canadians are here, southern Canadians or anybody that's familiar with it. It's kind of interesting. Cornmeal and then you fry it up. We people have come up with many. It's like Spam. Okay. I guess I don't even need it. I don't know why that's even included, but it was a really nice trip, despite that part and a fight my boyfriend's dad got into with someone in his family. But I had pea meal for the first time, and it wasn't too bad. Okay, pea meal. Cool. Thank you. Hello from North Carolina. Hello. Carlos. Welcome. You're a Southern Ontario Canuck. Well, I hope you've had a little bit of pee mail. All right, story 1 complete. I don't think we had too many mistakes there. I stared down the barrel. Oh, this will be fun. Maybe I'll start with this story, actually. Well, fuck, I guess. In December 2013, during my sophomore year of college, my at-the-time boyfriend David had a fraternity dinner banquet that I attended with him. It was a nice event, requiring everyone to dress up. He was in a suit. I was in a dress and heels. This is important for later. We had a good time, then went back to his place to drop off the... Oh, whoops. It says aware, but... Oh, weird. It looked like aware, then it turned back to a D when I looked at it again. These are ghost letters I'm looking at, guys. What the fuck? We had a good time and then went back to his place to drop off the award David had won and changed into tacky Christmas sweaters for a party we had later that night. It was maybe 7:30 p.m., but given that it was December, it was already dark out when we pulled into the parking lot outside David's apartment. At his place, there was one road with parking on either side, spots against the building and spots against a fence that lined the edge of the complex property. We parked in a fence spot with the trunk of our car facing the building, directly across from the stairs leading up to David's door, maybe 30 feet from safety. David and I got out and went to the trunk to get his award when a man started to approach us. David noticed him and said, "Hey, what's up, man?" The man said nothing and kept walking towards us. As he got closer, I could see that he was wearing baggy black sweatpants and a camo hoodie. He had the hood on and the drawstrings were pulled tight, so I could only see about half his face. Both his hands were in the front hoodie pocket. David said again, "What's up?" This time the man answered, "Get up against the car." Confused, I said, "Wait, what?" The man pulled a gun out of his hoodie pocket. "I said get up against the car." David got against the back of the car while the man put the gun against his back. I was in utter shock that this was happening, so I took a step back, now trapped between two cars, a fence, and a man holding a gun to my boyfriend. He told David to give him all the money he had. We both really only used cards and never had cash on us. Unfortunately, though, while home for Thanksgiving, his parents had given him $200 in 20s, all of which went into the hands of our mugger. Then he turned to me, pointed the gun at my face, less than a foot away, and said, "Your turn." I was dressed up and only carrying a small clutch purse. I literally only had a phone and lip gloss on me. I stammered out that I didn't have anything while staring at the gun he pointed at me. He then went back to my boyfriend. At this point, I felt my blood starting to boil. I was becoming less frightened and more angry, outraged that this man was aggressively stealing from two broke college kids. How dare he treat other people like this, I thought, Couldn't he tell that we were coming from an event and he was going to ruin our night? I wanted to kick him with my big clunky heel so badly, but thankfully I realized that that probably would only make him mad. I grabbed my phone, keeping my hand in my purse, and tried to dial 911. Unfortunately, my purse was too small to hide any movement, and I was worried if he saw me trying to call for help, he'd shoot. So I just stood there, staring at the gun being pressed into David's back. Finally, he took David's wallet and car keys and threw them in one direction, ran off in the other, hopping the fence, separating the apartment complex from a small neighborhood. David and I stood in silence for a second, trying to grasp what just happened. We slowly gathered his keys and wallet, then went inside and called the police, definitely in shock. This is where the story gets really interesting. The police had an officer patrolling the other side of the apartment complex. It was a group of 26 buildings. We were in 26. The cop was over near 1, because they had gotten a call the previous day about the same guy mugging someone over there. Police and detectives come over and took our story and asked us questions for about an hour. When they left, it was still relatively early, maybe 9 p.m. We were still shaken up, but David and I decided we'd still go to the tacky Christmas party we had planned on attending, thinking it would help us take our mind off this horrible encounter. Our friend was hosting a pregame at his apartment in Building 3 of the same apartment. Whoopsie daisy. I'll see you, Jamie. Have a good night. Jacqueline, you have made it. Also, that last name is cool. Vroomman. What was I saying? We're still shaken up. Even though we decide... whoopsie shit. Do I believe in ghosts? I think so. I definitely have spiritual beliefs, and I've heard so many stories from people about their paranormal encounters that I definitely feel that there's more to reality than we can perceive with sort of our natural eyes, ears, and senses of that nature. What the sort of absolute truth of it all is, I have no idea. It's definitely been, that sort of information is up in the air. I think we can all agree that the non-aggression principle is pretty good, to treat everyone well, but kind of, other than that, I can't sit here and tell you what exactly is truth, because I'm not even sure I know it myself. Our friend was hosting a pregame at his apartment in Building 3 of the same complex. Even though we decided not to drink that night, we headed over after getting into our tacky sweaters. The pregame got a little rowdy, and we heard a knock on the door. We opened it to see the person who lives next door to our friend. He said, "Hey guys, you might want to keep it down. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I have police and investigators at my apartment right now because I was mugged out here last night. I heard 2 more people got mugged tonight, so just please be safe." David and I look at each other, then back at him. "Oh, hi. That's us. We're the 2 people that were mugged tonight. Nice to meet you, fellow mugging victim." He laughed and shook our hands. Neighbor and David compared knives that they were now carrying as personal defense weapons before he went back to his place. Later on down the road, David and I had broken up, but the security at the complex was amped up. More lights were installed in the parking lot, and my girlfriend and I moved in. We had to park in the same set of spots where I was held at gunpoint. Probably a stupid way to face your fears, but we didn't have any issues while we lived there, thankfully. Who's got vodka? Vodka. Oh, 450 people. Nice, nice. Click that like button if you haven't already. Fallon, thank you. Thank you. I try to make it mysterious and scurry at the same time. Okay. Well, this will be fun. This one's called my old drug dealer, as opposed to his new one. Unless he became his own drug dealer. That's definitely a strategy. Dead says, I'm about to be sconed. Someone's gonna scone you to death? At the bakery? Liquor store's closed. Uh-oh. What will you do? Malibu and Dr. Pepper. That sounds pretty good. You're scred. Guys, I'm so scred right now. Thank you, Vivian. Miss Vanessa, you don't like Dr. Pepper? Dude, that's my... Diet Dr. Pepper Cherry is like my... It kind of defines me. You know, Memphis, I wouldn't disagree with you. When I was much younger and far less concerned with consequences, I was introduced to a guy through a mutual friend that was well connected. It took me forever to figure out this... Oops. Side note, you know what I think would be interesting, since you guys were talking about ghosts briefly, is, El Celtic Girl, you don't drink soda? That's smart. Avoid that shit. Well, you guys were talking about ghosts earlier, and, I read ghost stories from time to time on here, demon stories, all that kind of shit. And I just thought it'd be really, really cool, and I'm curious if there's any sort of, like, just exorcists out there, you know what I mean? And what life is like for an exorcist. I don't know if that's primarily done through, a church or a Catholic church of some sort, because, you always see it in movies as being represented in that, but I imagine it doesn't specifically have to be Catholic Christianity, or even Christianity in general, that participates in sort of ghost cleansings and things of that nature. But I'm just kind of curious, like, of people's experiences with that, if they've ever had that. I would definitely read a bunch of stories about exorcisms. Holy shit, that'd be cool. Tom, your dad is an exorcist. Well, tell me more. He's a priest. Okay, interesting. Has he told you some pretty wild stories? Please just at me in the chat so I can catch you visually there. Or if there is more you want to say, just email me or DM me somewhere. I'd love to hear it. Your father's licensed to do it from the Vatican. I wonder if you have to go to the Vatican to do that. The exorcist takes it upon themselves to lock the spirits inside their own body. That doesn't sound right, but I don't know, but that sounds terrible. Why the fuck would you ever want a bunch of random spirits in your body? Also, that just sounds like a really ineffective way. Louise, ever upload a cartel-themed video? I might have seen it somewhere else, but I think I read stories about the cartel, but not like maybe one, and various other experiences that people had in like random videos, but definitely not specifically cartel stories. But that does sound cool. I'm sure a lot of people have some, pretty wild experiences with the cartel. Now, what is specifically the cartel? Like, I don't know a whole lot about them, but like, aren't cartel essentially just like gangs, like various types of gangs, within Latin America or something like that, or Central America, and I guess North America with Mexico and stuff like that. But like, more specifically, it's like their gang is more of like a really big organization that like sells drugs and hurts people and is kind of scarier than ISIS sometimes. I don't know if anybody knows much, but excise the demon. Yeah, if you're an exorciser, you're making the demon do CrossFit, I believe. That's pretty much what Luigi was in Luigi's Mansion. Fucking suck him up and then he'd make him work out. No, I know that Catholics are Christian. That's what I said. I said I didn't know if you specifically had to be Catholic to participate in, or if that's the most common place you see them doing exorcisms. You know what I mean? Because I always see that in like the media and stuff like that, or like movies, is that like movies about exorcisms usually involve the Catholic Church, which is just another sect of Christianity, but I knew that. Cartels don't have to hurt anyone if they get their profit. It's such a weird thing. They have, I don't know, that shit scares the bejeebus out of me because they've got so much control over the government. It's just weird to think like I talked about earlier, like the sort of position of hierarchies. Like, does anyone know why people listen to Pablo Escobar? Like, why did they listen to him? Why every day, whenever he ordered them to kill somebody, did they do it? Was it specifically the money that they were handed, or was it sort of like this, I don't even know, like almost borderline religious adoration for his leadership, you know what I mean? And then this sort of like trickle down process that exists in a similar fashion to like the military or police force or your work environment and that kind of thing. And then it's scary to think to me that like when certain power structures get to a certain level, they're literally bigger than the police force or they're bigger than the government. And then the amount of influence that comes from that, I guess you can see Paulo rose to sort of borderline demigod. But I also heard that Pablo Francisco was a CIA informant. I don't know if you guys had heard about that. That was interesting to me. It almost seemed as if, though, if he was a CIA informant, then that would mean that most likely he would probably be funded by the CIA to kind of keep drugs funneling either into the United States or in specific areas that he lived, which I guess was Colombia. Original Asherella with the 5 says, Diet Dr. Pepper defines me. Have you tried the new Diet Dr. Pepper with cream soda? I have not, as amazing as I had anticipated, but not bad. Yeah, it was, for some reason, I don't know if my, like, did you ever, like, go to taste something and your palate is not necessarily cleansed, or certain receptors on your, like, tongue are already, like, occupied by something you've eaten previously? And I kind of felt as if, though, I had, like, a Diet Dr. Pepper cream that was warm, and whenever I drank it, it didn't like strike me with certain flavor as I had anticipated to, but it may have been because I had eaten something sweet prior to that. I don't know. But I have not gotten, because my roommate got it, but I didn't buy those specifically. But oh, one day we shall find out about the cream. Oh Lord. But thank you for the 5, Asherelle. It's good to see you. Aspartame will ruin your metabolism. Yeah, tell me more about that. What's the situation on there? I know it definitely still increases your insulin response, which I didn't realize there was so much importance to your metabolism, your storage of fat, and its correlation between different hormones that are released, like insulin and HGH and all that kind of stuff. It's really wild, honestly. It's very strange. It took me forever to figure out how this guy... Wait, whoops. Did I skip something? Oh, I may have... Huh. Whoops. When I was much younger, and far less concerned with consequences, I was introduced to a guy through a mutual friend that was well connected. It took me forever to figure out how this guy could stock a veritable roving pharmacy. Okay, interesting. Choice. What speeds up? No, apparently aspartame kind of ruins your metabolism, I guess. Exactly, it messes up your hormones. Stick to stevia. Yeah, I tried stevia soda. It was kind of gross, but... I mean, obviously I just shouldn't drink soda in general, but... I heard monkey fruit. Have you guys heard of monkey fruit or something like that? It's like a sweetener. It's similar to stevia. It doesn't really affect your insulin in the same fashion. But basically, like, there's just a lot of studies that whenever you eat, your body releases insulin to, like, counteract the increase in blood sugar or whatever. But and then in the presence of insulin is usually the correlation between storing and creation of fat. So in opposition to that, you have, I guess, HGH, which are like inverse to each other. So like the opposite. So like whenever HGH is high, insulin's low, and when you eat, your insulin goes up and your HGH goes down. And so like HGH is for like building muscle, and like insulin's for like, I guess essentially leading to the metabolism and potentially creation of fat, I think. But so that's why a lot of people talk about like that's why most of your muscles and most of your body sort of is able to recover while you're sleeping, because you're fasting during that whole time. Monk fruit, yes, you're kind of like fasting during that whole time. And honestly, a lot of people say you shouldn't fast, but apparently the more you can keep your HGH up, I hope I'm saying the right hormone there, but correct me if I'm wrong, but the more you can keep that up through fasting and maybe like only eat within like an 8-hour window, the easier it is to like burn fat and apparently build muscle. So I don't know, a lot of crazy science there, but it's definitely interesting. Check out. Why are we putting numbers in? Yeah, the sugar daddies. It took me forever to figure out how this guy could stock a veritable roving pharmacy in his vehicle, but at the time I wasn't so much concerned with how, just the when. Like, hey man, when can I purchase an irresponsible amount of diverted prescription medications from you? As I got to know him more, I learned more about a purveyor of happy pills, and he thoroughly threw off a bad vibe. I would do my absolute best to avoid the post-deal hangout, but the guy was clearly and completely socially Oh shit, that's a word. That's a word and a half. Maladroit? Maladroit. Sorry if that blew your ears out. Maladroit, ineffective or bungling, clumsy. Both men are unhappy about the maladroit way the matter has been handled. Interesting. Juan Zombie with the $2 says, "Are we doomed, bro?" I don't think so. Oh shit. I just closed that tab. Whoops. I don't think so, Juan. We are the masters of our own destiny. Just know that... Oh, it was really loud. Sorry about that. Every time I click those, I wonder if they're like mega loud, but I'll try to just turn the pages down next time I do that. Sorry about that, but I don't think we're doomed. I mean, it's weird. When you look at like reality, it's like it can only really go a few directions. And I think, for time immemorial, people have kind of been arguing like it's science versus religion kind of thing, you know what I mean? At least as far as like the general or the ethereal versus the material, you know what I mean? Where we have the spirit and then you have like the material body or whatever it is. Now, technically, the material, every material in all of existence is doomed, in the concepts of its eventual death and destruction, I guess you could say. Even people talk about black holes existing long distances away that have exploded, but they'll get here in 8 billion years or whatever, or maybe you'll live to be 70 to 100 years old, maybe 123 years old, I don't know. But doomed individually, I'm not really sure. I think, like I said earlier, I think the human spirit definitely exists. I think that's something that every individual should try to figure out individually. I think it can give you it's given me a lot of peace, you know what I mean, trying to figure that out, especially in times of fear and panic and that kind of thing, like digging within yourself and determining what you find to be truth and what are the greater meanings of things, and maybe chasing after this material nature of reality is not necessarily the most beneficial thing to me. Like my brother, surprisingly, I never expected the day to hear it, but my brother just called me to let me know that he got engaged, you know what I mean? And I think all of the sort of lately, my grandfather passing, and then, the whole, corona panic, and the sort of perspective of being mortal, has stricken a lot of people to make decisions that sort of move them in the direction of, I don't know, moving their life forward, I guess, or finding deeper meaning and appreciation of those around them and that kind of thing. Yeah, congrats, Let's Read's brother, for sure. I'm excited for him. It's good. I mean, the person he met is a good person, and that's always a good thing. Juan Zombie with the 2 says, hopefully I'm still a virgin. Shake my head. Yeah, people, I don't know, they worry about like being virgin and all that kind of stuff, and like honestly, like that kind of life, like chasing after sex specifically, like I've always kind of found it definitively is a lot more unsatisfying, I feel like, spiritually or like personally, than actually trying to care about another human being. So when someone, especially like a man, people always make guys feel bad for being virgins or whatever, and maybe there are certain things you can do to help yourself find, like working out or developing skills or a good job and blah, eating healthy, all that kind of stuff, to then help you find a partner. But like to feel any sort of like shame for being a virgin, I think to me is a failure of society. You know what I mean? Like it's whenever you, I believe, have sex with someone, you kind of take a piece of them with you, something that you don't necessarily forget, or kind of like connects you with them in a way that definitely always, there's definitely never, in my opinion, a sort of no strings attached scenario. Like as much as you want to say there is, somebody's probably going to catch some feelings. How do you say this stupid word again? Maldruit? What the fuck is that word? Why do they have to use that word? It's like as if though they've had it like sitting in their back pocket and they're like, use this word. You will get $25 if you use this word. Well, that's the thing, you can argue God is real, God isn't real, but it's like you'll just argue yourself into a hole, you know what I mean? And to me, it's not worth maintaining. If there's a certain part of you that keeps you in negativity, it's not worth maladroit. Okay, yeah, shit, maladroit. There we go. Thank you. If there's something, a certain world perspective that's keeping you from being, or keeping you in a state of negativity, and especially being negative towards other people, it's like the old golden rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, unless you're having like a respectful conversation with someone. But like being the sort of like edgy teenager who's atheist or whatever, and maintaining that sort of like jaded attitude into your adulthood is only going to push people away, I think, and only going to sort of create a sense of nihilism and hopelessness for your future. And even if you don't believe in it, or you require more information, which I think is very intelligent to have that perspective, it's definitely not worth imparting that negativity onto other people, and maybe considering in yourself more of an open mind, I guess. I don't know. I need to hear this word again. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to turn down this. Oh, wait, here we go. I remember I downloaded a edition where you can actually, in Google Chrome, where it's called Volume Master, and you can turn down individual tabs, which is kind of sweet. Maladroit. All right, sweet. Got it. Venikins Art with the $5 says, Yo, Joel, popping in to say hi to you in Pradipkite. Thank you for keeping me going during work. 2.5 hours to go. Woot. Head desk. Just smack your head like through the whole desk like a karate champion. Thank you, Venikins. Yeah, Pradeep is He has like this little corner spot that like there's a box in there, and then I put a cat bed, so it's like almost this dark, secluded corner underneath all of the hanging clothes in the closet. It's kind of a cool spot. It's kind of the coolest spot in the room, and I think I see him in there, but sometimes it's hard to tell since he's literally black as the night, like Batman. Alright, let me... one more time.
Maladroit.
Maladroit. Holy shit. I don't know why I can't. My memory lasts about 3 seconds. I'm like a goldfish. I would do my absolute best to avoid the post-deal hangout, but the guy was clearly and completely socially... socially. I would do my absolute best to avoid the post-deal hangout, but the guy was clearly and completely socially maladroit. Eventually, dealer, I'll henceforth refer to... This is just so wordy. Too many words in this story. Eventually, dealer, I'll henceforth refer to him as D, starts attempting to insinuate himself into my group of friends more and more. He would call me constantly, text me like an abandoned Tinder date, and generally harass me to hang out. We would casually drink beer in the backyard of my house, and he'd happen to be in the neighborhood, just like he'd accidentally take a load off and decide to stick around. I am not a complete jerk, so it was difficult to sell someone a clue who doesn't have a proverbial nickel to his name. I specifically remember a night when each of us were recounting macho stories of tussles and scrapes we'd been in, and Dee decided it was his turn to contribute. It went something like this. Oh, that's nothing, man. One time I shot a man in the face with a shot off. Oh, Christ. Maya B with the 5 says, I absolutely love these discussions. Very interesting to hear your perspective as well as others' perspectives. Nice, yeah. I really think a lot of people avoid sort of controversial things, and I do too at times, because I don't want to, like, upset people, but honestly, if you got opinions about stuff, just say them, you know? Who gives a shit? It's like... You know, they tell you when you go into a bar, don't talk about religion or politics. But, like, I say fuck that shit. Talk about religion or politics. Respect the other person that's across from you. You know, say what you think. Don't be an asshole. And, easy peasy. Like, right now, you know, it's not so much now with the coronavirus. I don't think people are talking about politics quite as much. But, the sort of general vitriol people have for one another, whether they're on one side or not of the same fucking coin, is so embarrassing to watch sometimes, because it just demonstrates to me that people do you not consider yourself intelligent enough to to discuss what you're talking about, but also control your emotions. You know what I mean? You're not children. You're adults. No matter how much, and once again, it's no matter how much the media wants to program you to be children, you're beyond that. You have complete control over your destiny. You are more than your emotions. So to me, it's like, if there's something to talk about, especially if it's controversial, those are the most interesting things. Do you believe in aliens? Like, what who'd you vote for? Like, all that kind of shit. Like, fucking talk about it. Like, no matter what people think about you, just be respectful. It's very simple. Oh, that's nothing, man. One time I shot a man in the face with a sawed-off shotgun and beat the rap on a cell... Oh, shit, sorry. Fuck. I thought they were trying to say crap, but it said beat the rap, which was like the, you know, the sort of accused crime or whatever. Oh, that's nothing, man. One time I shot a man in the face with a sawed-off shotgun and beat the rap on a self-defense technicality. We all sort of went slack-jawed at this moment and nodded our heads, mumbling uncomfortably. Wow, pretty cool. At that point, I think we all just assumed he was a one-upper and would say whatever to reinforce the tough guy persona he was so desperate to have us believe. I should have realized then that maybe D wasn't exactly an asset to the societal fabric. But, you know, I didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings. Plus, drugs. A few weeks later into the summer, and some of the boys and I decide to tie one on, and head downtown to the clubs. Now, I know for a fact that I hadn't committed the felonious sin of imparting knowledge of our physical location to D, but somehow he materialized by my side as I was ordering a drink. Even in my own, greatly impaired state, I could tell D was in a knee-walking, gutter-sucking blackout. It took me all of 30 seconds of surveying his slack expression coupled with those glassy black eyes doing the 1,000-yard stare to surmise that D was not going to be a fun man to be around on this night. My hypothesis soon proved all too accurate when he began pushing random people on the dance floor, accosting women in front of their respective boyfriends and husbands, all the while fiddling around in his pockets for something. Starting to get why D wasn't a pillar of societal... Well, that was a question. Whoops. The Bass Kicker, 88 with the 2... What's up, dude? Hope you're doing all right. I am. Thank you, Bass Kicker. Or Bass Kicker, whatever. Does Joel read news stories? I do. These are all news stories. The only repeat ones you'll hear is on the compilation videos, which are the sort of Let's Read podcast videos. Which, if you haven't followed the podcast, go follow that on iTunes and Spotify and all of the other various locations for stuff, for podcasting. Because we just hit over 4 million total views on the podcast, which is really cool. It's been a little over a year, and to get to 4 million is really, really awesome compared to kind of my start on YouTube. So really appreciate you guys supporting the podcast over there and being excited when anyone noticed Let's Read is also Euramaker. That is not true. If you go back into some of my older streams, or anybody who here remembers it, I actually had Euramaker on. I had Euramaker on the stream one time, and we had kind of I don't even know what you want to call it, a sort of improvisational comedic experience. And it got a little raunchy, but I think it was fun. It was like I was talking in the mirror. But honestly, people say we sound alike, but I really don't hear it. I know that sounds strange, and I know I'm kind of used to hearing my own voice or whatever, but I really don't think we're the same. Your Let's Read. Your Maker Read. I just got something wheeled in a photo. Weird in a photo? Soundwave says my cat is purring while laying on my keyboard, so she's enjoying the stream too. Nice. I am the master at knocking out kitty cats. With my voice, of course. Juan Zombie with the 5 says, can I get a shout out, bro? By the way, awesome stories. Also cool as motherfucking chats. Nice. Yeah, Juan, shout out to you, Juan Zombie. Are you a YouTube channel as well? Is that or just saying what up? Thank you for the 5. Should have stock up on Twinkies. Honestly, that's what, Family Guy made a good point. When the bombs finally drop, you gotta head to the Twinkie factory, because those will be around. Which is funny, because was it Family Guy that did that? Because I also remember it was in the zombie movie, the first one. I didn't watch the sequel. I think that was kind of a flop, but the Cat Whisperer, yes. Starting to get why D wasn't a pillar of social proficiency. Eventually he was ejected from the club, and as a mission of pure mercy, I went outside to make sure he at least found a cab home. And that's when I discovered what D was looking for in his pocket all night. As I walked outside, I could see several bouncers warily surrounding this portly whirling dervish of an idiot as he's brandishing a freaking 6-foot serrated fold-out knife at them. I still have no idea what possessed me to step in and corral him, and I still believe that's the only reason I wasn't cut to absolute ribbons is because of the Gumbly-like flexibility. The Gumbly. Holy shit, this guy is Stephen King Jr. Am I right, fellas? They made Twinkies into a cereal. Is it good? Left foot. Oh, yeah. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Yeah, I remember that. Who was the singer? Then she takes a left foot, right foot. I forget who it was. He's like still alive playing piano. I still have no idea what possessed me to step in and corral him, and I still believe that's the only reason I wasn't cut to absolute ribbons is because of the Gumby-like flexibility I'm afforded under the influence of alcohol and prescription medications. I was finally able to convince him into a taxi and send him packing. At this point, I made a firm decision to stop doing drugs and, by proxy, stop seeing D. Ever. I blocked his number and refused to go out. It's lucky that I did, because some months later, burp. I should just end a story on a burp. What's my favorite music? I would say I really like IDM stuff, like electronic, sort of weird electronic music. It doesn't have to be like, boots and cats type thing, but stuff of that nature. Cool down-tempo beats and chill treats, like Dairy Queen. I still have... Oh, fuck, I already read that. Okay, At this point, I made a firm decision to stop doing drugs and, by proxy, stop seeing D. Ever. I blocked his number and refused to go out. It's lucky that I did, because some months later, he found himself once again in a scuffle at that very same establishment. Only this time I wasn't there to rescue him. He stabbed a man 7 or 8 times and hot-footed it into an alley in some pitiful attempt at an escape. The police didn't have to do much sleuthing, as there were plenty of bystanders willing to point out its location. D is now in a level 4 prison and isn't eligible for parole for another decade or so. And I say good. D, let's not freaking meet again. KFC man with a 3 buckaroonies. I'm not even sure what that is, man. That's sweet, though. It looks like a military guy who's... Looks like he's cocking his gun, but then at the same time, it looks like he's playing air guitar, so I have no idea. Also, this story does have an article from Colorado as well, so it's kind of cool. The Bass Kicker with the 5 says, congratulations, 4 mil. Let's read. Keep it up. You're a badass, and I enjoy your channel. Thank you, my dude. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm. It's kind of interesting. Like, I don't really know how podcasts work on the actual podcast like services, because I don't really listen to them on Spotify or iTunes. Like, I just kind of listen to them on YouTube or whatever and run the app, since I use YouTube Premium and stuff like that. So I'm always curious, like, to know how many, like, quote unquote subscribers I have over all of the podcast services. You know what I mean? At least people who follow or whatever you want to call it on there. All I can see though is just the number of like listens. Oops. I forgot to press loop on this bad boy on this song. Let me restart that. Why are they all saying egg? Once again, this is one of those memes that started beyond my comprehension, and I truly will never know. The chat is a hive mind of its own. And similar to the coronavirus, egg will spread far and wide. Just like the Buttersock cult. The podcast I use on Google One works so well. Nice. Does my podcast show up on the Google One? Because I've always been curious. Egovirus has taken over. Join the hive, Joel. Join the hive. The egg. Give me your eggs. Making a lot of errors, that's true. Oh, cool. Okay, at least they show up on Google. That's awesome. Google. I would hope so, since it exists on YouTube, which is like the same sitch. Do the Woo Flu challenge, Egg Boy. Everybody, do not lick a toilet seat in an airplane, no matter what. I think you'll get more than the Kung Flu from that. This all started when I was probably around the age of 9, in the summertime. My brother was a year younger than me, and, long story short, he convinced me to go look for some cats that he had seen. I put my shoes on and followed my little brother out the door. We walked the streets in search of... Dude, no. Once again. Wait, I'm fairly certain I read this story already, too. How do I keep getting so many repeats, dude? Those were the only ones that caught someone outside our window. Yeah, I think I... How the fuck do I keep getting repeats? That's annoying. That's so freaking annoying. Let me find another one here in the old archives. The man on the train. Perhaps that's a good replacement. Yeah. Alright. The man who recorded our lives. Unpin. Fuck that story. Pin. Okay. Sorry about that, mates. Okay. Damn. That's annoying. You gotta pay attention to which ones are getting repeated, but not a big deal. Easily replaceable. I can't remember exactly when this happened, but I think it was March 2019 when I was 17. I quite often get the train into London to visit my boyfriend. I go up on Friday and Saturday and come back Sunday evening. My parents always told me, quite rightly, to try and get an early train home on Sunday in order to avoid traveling late by myself, but me being naive and stupid always accidentally missed the earlier trains in order to spend more time with my boyfriend. This particular Sunday, I was getting a train that got into the station where I lived at around 9 p.m. My station is the last stop on the line, and where the train terminates, so by the end of the journey it is always relatively empty. Sometimes I'm the only one getting off aside from the guard. Usually I would just put my noise-canceling headphones on, settle down and zone out whatever was happening around me. I'm quite an anxious traveler, so blocking out the sound helps me relax. I also try and sit at the end of the carriage where there aren't as many people, as having a lot of people around can make me more susceptible to anxiety attacks. After this evening, I always made sure to sit near people. I'm sitting with my headphones on, tucked away with my suitcase in the footwell of the seat next to me, in a pair of seats next to a window, sitting in the window seat, when I notice a man stumble into the seats adjacent to mine across the aisle. He leans across the seats, looking directly at me, and mumbles something to me. He was wearing all black, a massive black coat, and had a big duffel bag. I, a little anxious because I'm not the biggest fan of talking to strangers, take off my headphones and politely ask him to repeat himself. His speech is slurred, making what he is saying completely incoherent, but after he's repeating himself several times, I realize he's asking if I know if there are any taxi companies at my station. I say, no, sorry, and put my headphones back on. He leans over again and asks me the same question. I take my headphones off and give him the same reply. No, I don't know of any, sorry. He says something else. I ask him to repeat himself because his speech is so slurred I don't know what he's saying. This strange conversation goes on for about 20 minutes. I can't understand much of what he is saying. He's sort of half mumbling, half speaking, and he's not really making much sense. He keeps asking me how I'm getting home and where I live. I just say by car and don't say anything else about where I live. I'm super nervous now because this guy just gave me the creeps. I had a feeling something bad was going to happen, and he is starting to make me uncomfortable. There was just this vibe about him that he was bad news. He then asked me if I'm going to call the police on him. I say no, and he starts mumbling and swearing profusely. He mumbles something about beating my brains in. I'm really starting to freak out now. All of a sudden, he moves across the aisle to sit in the seat next to mine, trapping me in my seat. I cannot escape. I'm sitting next to the window and he's completely blocking the aisle. I'd have to awkwardly climb over to him to leave. I've decided he must be high or drunk because his eyes look absolutely crazy and his speech is so slurred. He tells me I'm very beautiful and asks if I have a boyfriend, moving closer until I could feel his breath on my face. I look around to see if there is anyone in the carriage with me, but I can't see anyone. He leans in really close, and I'm freaking out now. But luckily the train guard comes through from the next carriage, sees me looking very scared, and comes over to ask if everything is okay. Immediately, this guy's demeanor changes. He leans away from me, and he waves his hand as if to say nothing is wrong. I say yes, everything is okay, but by the look on my face, the guard can tell I'm super uncomfortable. The guard makes small talk with the guy and then moves to stand by the door behind us. I don't know what to do. Even though the guard is behind me, I feel really unsafe and know I have to get away from this man. I ask the guy if he would move back to his seat and say I don't want to talk to him as he's making me uncomfortable. He moves back and starts muttering and swearing again, mumbling half-formed threats under his breath. I call my dad, who's picking me up, and when he answers the phone, I immediately say, "Hey, Dad." The guy looks at me and says, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a dad." He tries to talk to me whilst I'm on the phone. He's talking over me the whole time, but I can't actually make out what he's saying. I have no idea how to try and communicate to my dad that I'm not feeling safe, and this weirdo is talking to me without him overhearing. The train is pulling into the final stop, so I pull my suitcase out of the footwell to try and make a quick exit from the train. The guy gets up really quickly and goes in front of me, and then grabs my suitcase to take it off the train and steal it, presumably. I still had my hand on it and managed to pull it out of his hands. He gets off the train quickly, and I stand next to the guard for a couple of minutes because I didn't want to get off the train at the same time as this guy. The guard asks me if I'm okay, and I burst into tears. I'm already anxious and tired, and this may seem like something insignificant, but I suffer with really bad anxiety, and it really creeped me out. A lady comes over. I don't know how she knew I was crying about what had just happened with this guy. She must have seen him getting off the train. She says he was asking her about taxis and making her feel uncomfortable until she told him to ask someone else. She apologizes. She apologizes. Was Jensen here? Exit. There he is. There's the man. The man with the plan. Juan Zombie with the $2 says, will the virus really end? I think so. I mean, in many fashions, the virus sort of mutates similar to the flu virus. But once again, they're most likely, the way that they do the flu is they sort of anticipate the process of its mutation and then sort of guesstimate whether or not, what the mutation will look like for the next year to sort of create the flu vaccine. I believe that's how it works. So in a lot of ways, it's like determining the sort of proficiency in the ability to fight the flu every year. You're kind of taking a chance when you get the flu vaccine. Like you might, you might not even need it, or it might not even help. It might actually just end up sort of making you sick. But in many ways, it's difficult to say. I think right now, while the sort of herd, we as people build up our sort of herd immunity, and I can't wholly say exactly how that process is going to go. The overall argument is that they want to decrease the number of those infected as a whole, at least on the initial part, so that the medical systems aren't, essentially overrun with patients, and then you have to do what Italy started doing, where they're like, oh, we we'll no longer be able to treat people over the age of 80. Good luck, you know what I mean? So if you come in sick with that, they're just gonna guesstimate. But the whole situation is just fucky to me because it's like the manner in which they collect data is confusing. You know, how do you differentiate symptoms between that particular virus and another? Sure, there's like testing kits, but how do you know was there like a double blind study done for months on end to determine whether or not it's this particular virus or not? You know what I mean? So it's so difficult to track, I feel like. So a lot of the information that's coming out in many ways, I feel, is both uninformed but also hysterical. And that's why, to me, I get more frustrated with like sort of government actions taken because it's almost like, how do they fucking know? They don't. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Yeah, Robin is a new background. Yeah, that would be cool. What kind of background do you guys think Robin should make um, for the future here? Something, because that one, I do love that one. That one's cool. I think I had another one that I alternated between, but I think it was based on seasons, kind of. You know what I mean? Yeah, flatten the curve, as they say. But to me, flatten the curve does sound very intelligent to say, but at the same time, I feel as if though I don't know. It's just such a generic concept, you know, where even that to me sounds like experimental. Just strange. Do we recommend you sleep with the window cracked open, or is that not a good idea? I mean, I don't know why having the window open would affect anything, because it's not like it's some like airborne. I mean, it depends on where you're at. I mean, unless someone like stuck their head in while you're in New York and sneezed in your face. Unless you're talking about like someone like home invasion thing, then as long as I don't know, as long as you're at pretty high in altitude and have not struggled with robberies or anything in the past, I would say that's fine. But definitely take precautions when it comes to your own personal safety in a city. Soundwave, thanks. Yeah, we're almost at 600 folks here tonight. We're cruising. And Pink Bunny, what's poppin'? Cats. Cats are quite the creatures. Oh yeah, thank you for linking that, Robin, to the Discord. Check it out. Robin's in there. He posts some of his art from time to time. From time to time. You could breathe. I don't really think having a window open in some random apartment in New York is how people contract the coronavirus. I would hate people to sort of approach their day from that perspective. I'll do a cat background. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely a involvement of a cat would be cool. Like, oh, you know what was sweet is that background. If you've ever watched, like those chill beat channels. There's one where this girl is like studying, and her cat's like tail is like she's writing, and then it's basically just like a repeating GIF, and like and then her cat like is sleeping in the bed, and its tail is kind of like sort of like waving and stuff. But so I was thinking, something like that. But at the same time, I don't want it specifically to be like me in my room or something of that nature. But whatever. Honestly, Robin, you're so creative that honestly anything you come up with, I know is going to be litty titty. She says she was... sorry. She says he was asking her about taxis and making her feel uncomfortable until she told him to ask someone else. She apologizes for sending him my way. They both offer to walk me to my car. Luckily, my dad is sitting in the parking lot and I get in the car safe and sound. There's no sign of where the guy on the train went. And I wish the story stopped here. We make a stop at a small supermarket on the way home, and usually my dad would send me to get whatever we needed, but because I'm still feeling upset from the train, I sit in the car in the deserted parking lot. As soon as my dad enters the supermarket, a car pulls up on the other side of the lot. I see the same guy from the train in the passenger seat, and my blood runs cold. The car he's in isn't a taxi either, which I found strange, as that's what he originally was asking me about. I sink down into the seat a bit, hoping he doesn't see me, but it's like he already knows I'm in the car. He starts pointing at me and talking to the driver. They get out of the car and start walking through the lot towards my car. I immediately lock the doors. My phone is in my bag, which is in the boot, so... In the boot? What's a boot? This is quite possibly the nicest stream community I know. Yesterday I didn't have the greatest experience in different YouTubers' streams. Soundwave. Well, that's good. I'm glad everyone's, positive in here, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of like streamers and stuff, and Twitch and all that kind of stuff, and and their communities are so negative. Mr. Jonathan Weiss with the big $2 says, "Sup, tussy face." Dude, what's up, John? Did you beat Halo? Did we beat Halo yet? John, we need to say screw the multiplayer and just do strictly the Halo 1 campaign, which is also bullshit that can't have up to 4 people doing the campaign. I thought you could. Especially since we're on PC now. They're really fucking up with that. But thank you, John. You can kiss this tussy face anytime you want. Should make Pradeep into the Let's Read astronaut skeleton guy. That would be cute. Oh yeah, that would be fun for merch too. The boot is in the UK is a trunk. Okay, that makes sense. I immediately lock the doors. My phone is in my bag, which is in the boot, so all I can do is sit there and pray my dad is coming to get back. Fuck. I immediately lock the doors. My phone is in my bag, which is in the boot, so all I can do is sit there and pray my dad is going to come back at any moment. They've nearly made it to the car when my dad gets back. He was only going in for bread. They see him and start walking immediately in the other direction towards the supermarket. I yell at my dad to get in the car. I'm crying so hard, and by the time my dad has gotten to the driver's seat, the men are nowhere to be seen. I managed to calm down enough to tell my dad between sobs about how the guy from the train was in the parking lot in a car with someone, and that they were walking towards me. I point at the car they were in, and my dad doesn't say much and just starts driving home. When we got home, and my mom has managed to calm me down a bit, my dad tells me he noticed the same car driving behind us when we left the station, meaning they must have followed us from the station to the supermarket. I felt really embarrassed, like I was overreacting and making a fuss over nothing because I'm just oversensitive with bad anxiety. When the guy started talking to me on the train, I felt physically sick and just had this overwhelming feeling something bad was going to happen. Even though I have anxiety, I usually don't get these feelings just from talking to a stranger. Soundways, they got mad at you for asking advice, but here it's just reading and chatting, so it's fun. Yeah, I know. I think it's a cool thing that you don't see very often. You know what I mean? Like, actually, like, I don't know. I watch like Overwatch streamers and stuff like that, or like variety game streamers, and it's like it almost seems like once you get to a certain level of like bigness per se, like your chat becomes cancer, like. The most successful people essentially are like some of the most cancerous, I guess you could say, as far as their sort of toxicity. And they definitely don't care about the people in the chat. Or the only way to get their attention is like with some big donation or something. You know, you watch Dr. Disrespect or XQC or various others. And I understand they're like to the size where that makes sense. But there definitely doesn't seem to be a certain level of like a certain sense of like level-headedness, I guess, about the streamers. Granted, I know that they're like rage playing video games, and I would be that way too, but I feel like I would also laugh at myself a lot, and actually be able to like maybe read stuff from you guys. But I also think that sometimes with gaming, there's just not a lot of chance to there's, with gaming, there's not a lot of chance for them to take their eyes off of the game, especially if it's multiplayer, and then like actually give the chat some legitimate lovin'. Juan Zombie with the 2 says, should do a channel of rage quits, bro. Oh, I've rage quit many a time, especially in Overwatch. There's a new hero out in Overwatch, and it's, I don't know if you guys saw, it's a DPS hero, and which, holy god, it's like OP beyond belief. Like, it flies in the air, it shoots like long distance, like Doomfist shotgun knuckles, has like 15 of them, whereas Doomfist has like 4, but granted, he's not Doomfist, but, and then they also shoot like 5 sticky bombs that do like AoE damage, and then they also have like a fucking laser that shoots out that just like shits on people like Genji and stuff. And then the fact that they fly. But then the craziest part is they get their ult, and then they can turn into one of the enemies that they're looking at. And then when they do that, they become the other enemy, a clone of them or whatever, and they're like a different color. But they can build their ultimate really fast as that clone, and they have it for, I think, 20 seconds to be that, clone. And then they get that ult, and then they can use it on the other team. It's like the whole, I don't know, it's just so fucking insanely OP. It's so OP. It's like, I don't know, with like Overwatch, people were begging for like another healer forever, another support or something cool, and I kind of thought based on her design that she was going to be very similar to like the old Symmetra with like the shields and all that kind of dumb shit. It's I don't know, it's just insanity to me. And obviously they're trying to, it's been like, I guess it's been 6 months, so like 2 heroes a year to me I guess is good for balancing, even though they struggle with that. Now they have like, hero. Hey, Juan Zombie became a member of the Buttersock cult. Thank you, Juan. You full-grown pizza, you. Appreciate the support. A new member. Everyone say hi to Juan. And say hi to Axeman. God damn it, Axeman. How are you? Anyways, I'm bitching about Overwatch. It's fucking stupid. I mean, I played a little bit of HOTS today, and I'm not good at MOBAs, and I don't really enjoy them either. But I kind of love that HOTS has, like, Heroes of the Storm. I love that they have, like, a ton of different people to pick from. Whereas Overwatch, it's like you got you're about to have 17 DPS, and then you have 8 healers and 8 tanks. And to me, it's like, it doesn't allow, I've bitched about this 1,000,000,000 times in the Discord when I'm playing. If you're coming to my Discord, you'll probably hear me rage playing Overwatch, and it's kind of embarrassing, but also kind of funny. And it's cool in there because you can stream it too, so you can watch me rage streaming games on there. I also play relaxing games from time to time, like the new Ori and the Will of the Wisp game. That's been a great experience. Been chill, except for some of the bosses were really hard. And I just with Overwatch, with DPS, you can pretty much pick any DPS for the most part, though there are certain ones that work better with certain tanks and healers and stuff like that. But with healers and tanks, it's like you pretty much have to build yourself around your teammates, and I kind of like that because it adds a certain element of like reliance upon your teammates. Like, Zarya goes good with Reinhardt, Roadhog goes good with Orisa, the Ball, and fucking Monkey, and then you have Diva goes well with a lot of different comps and stuff like that. And it just pisses me off because like it doesn't allow for a lot of creativity in that regard, because if you're on defense and someone wants to go Roadhog, but someone also wants to go Ball, because they're some of the most fun heroes that can put out the most DPS, you have no shield, you have no main tank, as they say, and then you're just kind of screwed from the get-go. And to me, I sort of just hate that level of like lack of creativity in the game. And then they're like, oh, the one place we need the most heroes, fuck that, here's a badass DPS that's OP beyond belief and going to completely screw the balance, But now my friend even made a good point. They're like, oh, well, they have hero banned. So like every week they change up, like in competitive, like which heroes are banned. So apparently that's somehow going to balance the game and switch up the meta, which it does, but it's also a little ridiculous to me. Jade has become a member of the Buttersock Cult. Everyone say hi to Jade. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. You are now a full-grown pizza. How do you join the Butterfuckery Club? Well, Axeman, if you click that join button, I believe that's very similar to becoming a subscriber on Twitch. But you are always part of the Buttery Fuckery Club in my heart, no matter whether or not you fork over $5 a month. Exotti says, "Hey man, came to fall asleep to your videos in the background, saw you streaming and wanted to say what's up. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Exotti. Yeah, we're just I'm just rambling about Overwatch, which god damn it, I hate talking about that game. But it's also like a weird addiction of mine, as many people in the Discord can tell you, that I cannot stop playing it. There's always just a desire to get better at something else, or always like a new sort of ADHD like character to go try. What's my favorite Overwatch character? I'm a pretty good Hanzo, to say that. But lately I've been finding that I've had to play a lot of McCree, and I do like McCree. I think his ult kind of sucks, but sometimes you can kind of if you're cheeky about it, you can secure the bag, you know. And also, I just love his hit scan. I've gotten very decent at his hit scan with that. But mainly, I just need him for the CC, his flashbang, or his pocket sand, as I like to call it, pocket sand, because it will stun the Doomfist, which, for God's sakes, I've said a million times, why is Doomfist even in the game? And sure, I know a good Widow or a good, I know Doomfist can be hacked and all these kind of things, but a bad Doomfist, or rather a good one, can just shit on you in so many fashions. In a similar way, so can Tracer, and there's no better feeling than flashbanging a Tracer and one-shotting her right in her stupid head. I love it. Okay, moving on. Do I think I'll get COVID? I think we'll all get COVID, and then we'll all build up a badass immunity to it, and then next time it shows up, we can tell it to go fuck itself. This happened a little before my 20th birthday, so about 4 to 5 months ago. It was about 5 p.m. and I was waiting for a friend at a bar, and he was running a little late. So I went ahead and got my first drink while waiting. As I was sitting at the bar, a guy came up and started talking to me. Definitely nothing to worry about yet. It was a bar, and he definitely seemed like he was just trying to pick me up. We had a light conversation. He offered to buy me a drink, and I accepted. He called the oh, whoops. I don't know why they got rid of whatever comma they needed there. Yes, join the wave, Jade. Thank you. I do really appreciate it. Oh, Cheyenne, you're a Moira main. Wait, did you say you play on console or do you play on PC? Because I need friends. I need friends to play with. Oh, but yeah, Moira. I've been trying Genji a lot more lately, and holy shit, Moira pisses me off because she just sucks the life out of you, and there's nothing you can do. Alec Vega with the 5s. Hey man, trying to do an all-nighter, listen to Scary Story Time. Is it a smart thing to do or something better? Any suggestions? Well, hopefully I don't put you to sleep. I know doing an all-nighter sometimes, like unless are you doing it for work or something like that? Or I know some people, now that they're on that weird schedule with school being sort of semi-all online now, which, how is that going for a lot of people? That shit is fucking weird to me. And to me, I honestly feel like colleges should reimburse people, but they're like, fuck that, you know. But honestly, if you're doing an all-nighter is probably the best way to reset your schedule, you know. If you've kind of screwed up and stayed up too long doing like a 24-hour situation, but usually what I end up doing is to reset out, like at midnight, I'll take like Z-Quil, and it usually, the only bad thing is if I already slept a lot, it might only knock me out till like 3 or 4. But as long as I can stay busy during the day, waking up at 3 or 4 isn't too bad to then sort of try to reset if I've got work in the morning again or something like that. Fallon says, can I send you a scary story on email that happened to me? Absolutely. You can email it. You can send it to Reddit. Email is letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. That's linked down below. Or on the Reddit is reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. So definitely send that in. We had a light conversation. He offered to buy me a drink, and I accepted. He called the bartender, and I ordered. We talked a little more and exchanged numbers. I told him I was waiting for a friend, and he asked if she was as pretty and unique as me. Being an alternative girl, guys never really know how to compliment. I laughed and said, no, he is definitely prettier, and with almost perfect timing, my friend messaged me that he was there but couldn't see me. I told him I was sitting at the end corner of the bar, and he came and found me. I gave my friend a hug and introduced the two. The guy started to act a little strange now, saying that he didn't want to interrupt our night and being kind of standoffish. He said he had to go and just up and left. I wondered if maybe he was intimidated by my friend because he's like 6'4" but like lanky, so probably not. I had his number and thought I'd message him tomorrow. I had a nice night with my friend. We had some drinks and then went and got a feed and more drinks. Got a feed? What is a feed? Oh, got food. Got a feed. It says that, like a feed. That's weird. Corona Wilbonia. Oh, your kids are in kindergarten, first grade, and they just sent homework packets for them to do. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, that's crazy. It's just crazy to me. Like, just so, especially like kids that are older, you know, and like it's college kids, you know, high school kids, like where they're in this like really important part of their life, these transitionary periods, and like there's so much like sort of disturbing that now, you know. Oh, Jade, a lot of scary and questionable stuff has happened in your town, some of the neighboring towns, because of the pandemic. Yeah, I just read on my last video about like some dude that was having people come onto his property to steal gasoline and shit like that. Because of like their lack of resources and the sort of panic. And that's the shit that scares me, is just the panic just leads to like it's just a compounding effect of insanity, and it just really frustrates me that the media can't to some degree give people a sense of chill, you know what I mean? Instead it's like, oh, this is just another series of inflammatory clickbait. Let's just keep throwing wood on the fire. Yeah, that virus can eat some ass. I had a nice night with my friend, and we had some drinks and then went and got food and more drinks. It was about 11ish and time to say goodbye, so we walked to the train station, and because we live in different areas, took different trains. His train showed up before mine, and we said our final goodbye as I waved him off. I had another 10 or so minutes before my train, so I just took out my phone and browsed my socials. This is when I got that feeling of being watched. I looked around and see no one looking at me, and since I was in the city, even though it was kinda late, people were still about. So I went back to browsing and had someone sit down next to me. "Thought it was you," the voice said. I looked up and was surprised to see the guy from the bar. I asked if he was also heading home. He said he was, and that he needed to feed his cat. As a cat person, I asked more about that, and he showed me pictures. He asked if I wanted to come home with him and see her. I told him maybe some other time, and he was pretty insistent, but I still refused. My train was coming, and I stood to go wait for it. As I was about to turn and say goodbye, he was standing as well. He said he was taking the same train, and at this point I was a little suspicious, but it was a main train, so we got on, and I sat down, and again he sat next to me. I had to get off in 2 stops, then get on another train for another 2 stops, and he also got off at the same stop and on the same train again, the whole time having normal conversation with me. Obviously, I was freaking out a little, so I messaged my housemate and asked him to wait for me at the station. Luckily, him and his missus were still up. He asked why, and I told him to just do it. When we got off at the station, that was only a short walk to my apartment, I said it was a funny coincidence that he also lived around here. He turned to me and said, "No, you're taking me to your place." I apologized if he had misunderstood me, but I never said anything like that. He said that he was already all this way and that I should just let him come over. Like he was ordering me around. It all just felt gross. At this point, I was in full panic mode. There weren't that many people at this stop, as we are in a suburban neighborhood now. This is probably when I looked noticeably panicked, and my housemate saw this and came out of the car. He's 29 and quite a big guy. He came over in his Labo accent. Wait, Labo? Labo? Alec Vega with a 5. Buckaroo says, "Lol, I know I think I need new friends, but it's for fun. We do it every time we know a scary story times is on. We're big fans and we'll never stop." Shit, that's cool. All-nighter. Hell yeah, fuck that. Let's do it. Scary story time. I wish I streamed for longer, to be honest, but we've been going for about 2 hours here. Usually streams are about 2 to 3 hours long, so I apologize. Unless you're like much further into the future than me, then it would make sense, but go ham. Go ham jam. Wait, Labo, and in his, I'm just gonna say, I don't really know if it's Labo or what it is. Jordan, what's up? He's 29 and quite a big guy. He came over and asked if there was a problem. The guy said that he was my date and that I was taking him home. I said that was a lie, and my housemate just walked me to the car and mean-mugged the guy the whole time. Sitting in the car, I got a text. It said, "I'll see you again." I'd totally forgotten I gave him my number. I looked up to see him still standing at the station. We locked eyes and he smiled and waved. It wasn't a creepy smile. It looked nice and genuine, and I think that's what's made it creepier. It wasn't a creepy smile. It looked nice and genuine, and I think that's what made it creepier. I purposely Labio? Maybe it's Labio. Yeah, it's some location. I'm not really sure. Lebo? It wasn't a creepy smile. It looked nice and genuine, and I think that's what made it creepier. I purposely avoid that bar from now on. Damn. That is creepy. Guy really forced himself into the scenario there. $11.11, make a wish. Uh-oh. What are you guys gonna wish for? Labia. That's what I thought, but I don't think so. I don't know anybody that has a labia accent. Do I think some people can be immune to COVID? I don't know. That is a curiosity, whether or not, because some people might be infected, they don't even realize it, and then, like, you know, through their own immune system, sort of develop a immunity to it, and I guess that's kind of how they go through the process of developing a vaccine. But usually that takes quite a bit of time, you know what I mean? Like almost a year, I thought. But it seems as if though the vaccines kind of like might be rolling out pretty quick, and to me that seems oddly strange. I met him in high school because we rode the same school bus. I was a freshman who was new to the area, and he was a sophomore. He would get off the bus 3 stops before me. After a month, he started sitting in the seat behind my usual spot on the bus, and then would get off at the same stop as me. The first time it happened, I think it was weird, but figured maybe he had a friend in the area. I never made contact with him and just walked home. It happened several times after, and I had an eerie feeling he might be following me, and that's why he sat behind me on the bus so I wouldn't suspect him. But I soothed my worries again with the thought. He might have a friend that lives down here, and maybe he didn't want to walk as far, so he got off at my stop. I did turn back once to see where he went after he got off the bus, but never saw him. It was like he disappeared. He started showing direct interest in me in the hallways. Somehow, without us being in any classes together, he learned my name. He would say hi to me by name in the hallways as I'd pass by, and he would always wave. I never stopped walking to have a chat with him, and I found the interaction rather odd, because he always did this when he saw me. Even if he already said hi to me that day, it was always the same words. Hello, say my name, and then wave. I typically wave back to be polite during these brief encounters, but after a few weeks of that happening, it seemed really weird. I asked my brother about him as they were in the same grade, and he told me his real name, but he said he goes by the name Goggles because he wore these thick Coke bottle glasses. He also confirmed my thought that Goggles had some strange fascination with me. I figured he had a crush on me, but I wasn't attracted to him at all. I really wanted nothing to do with him, but maintain... Figured he had a... Okay, I really wanted nothing to do with him. I really wanted nothing to do with him, but did maintain my politeness of waving hi to him in the mornings. Then something really creepy happened. One day he showed up to my house, on a weekend, unexpectedly. He rang the bell and my mom let him in when he asked for me. She yelled for me that I had a friend stop by, and when I saw him at the bottom of the staircase in the entryway of my house, I freaked out inside. I greeted him and asked him what he was doing here. He said he wanted to hang out, and then he proceeded to ask my mom if we could hang out at his house. I was still upstairs. I was still upstairs and absolutely baffled by how he was actually inside my house that I didn't have time to think of an excuse of what I was busy doing. My mom, who was extremely excited I had a friend since I was new to the area, quickly gave him permission to hang out with me and usher me to come downstairs. I ended up leaving with him. I thought, if anything, I'd have a chance to clear the air with him and see what his deal was. We started to walk, and I asked him how he knew where I lived. He said from riding the bus he saw me coming home one day. He said I always seemed really nice, so he wanted to get to know me. I talked about how I was new to the area and what I thought of the school. I asked him what he planned for us to do at his house. He said he didn't really have a plan, but he made sure to tell me his parents weren't home. I expressed how confused by why he told me my mom... Wait, what? Phelan, yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad I can help you. Dabs and scary stories. That's a good mix. How many stories I've read so far? So this is the 6th story, and there's one more story after this. This is a pretty long one, though. A longie. Yeah, that's the most annoying part is all the businesses are closed. But I've heard that, like, you can still get takeout. Is that a possibility? Have I done a face reveal? On Discord, I have. I gotta head over there to see my mug. I expressed how confused I was by why he told me... Wait. I expressed how I was confused by why he told my mom we were friends when we barely know each other. He said, "Don't you want to be friends?" I didn't know how to answer that truthfully without sounding rude, so I said, "Yeah," instead. We got to his parents' house and I felt really awkward but went inside. The place was barren, almost like no one even lived there. No couch, no TV. I asked for a second time what he wanted to do. He didn't come up with an answer, again, besides hang out. The truth finally poured out, and I told him I felt unsure about this whole thing and said I didn't understand why he wanted to hang out at his house if there wasn't a plan. I told him I didn't want to hang out that day and that I better go home. I let myself out in a hurry and basically ran home. I never said anything to my mom about that day. I really don't know what his true intentions were. So as the months go by, I don't make eye contact with him on the bus. I do, however, make sure he gets off the bus at his stop and isn't following me home. He even stopped saying hi and waving to me in the hallways for a while. The school year ends. My sophomore year starts and he's saying hi and waving to me again in the hallways every time we pass each other by. Sometimes I wave back and sometimes I pretend not to notice. I feel very annoyed when he does this multiple times in the day, so I go out of my way to find a new route to my next class so he won't see me. My brother gets his license, so we never have to take the bus again. My junior year, Goggles is still waving and saying hi with each side of me. I'm very fed up at this point and always ignore him and never wave back or say hi. I did see him once in the computer lab prior to my graphic design class starting. I sat down at my assigned computer and he said he found my MySpace and he confessed he was looking at my pictures all night long. I get red in the face and don't know what to say. He tells me we should bloop. We should burp. He tells me we should burp. Word on the street is that I have a fatty. He's not that hairy. Oh, I'll let that be up to interpretation. You got a Beyond Burger from Hardee's today. Carry out. Interesting. Ooh woo. Fry, you giving away my secret on the ooh woos. Jordan, we're here with you, homie. We are with you. Jordan, if you are, if anybody out there is feeling a little lonely during this time of isolation, I would honestly suggest joining the Discord mainly for that. I mean, it's a little difficult, I guess. I don't know how anybody who's in the Discord now, I don't know what you would say, but, join the Discord, get a feel for the culture, because even though I'm there and I encourage people to be kind to one another, I can't sit here and say that there hasn't been various times of, drama with random people. Not with myself, because I could give a shit less about drama, but, just with each other. You know how it goes on Discords and stuff like that. But for the most part, everyone's just as, positive as this chat is. And if you're looking for a new place to kind of, catch a vibe with some folks, yeah, or you're just bored, join up. Yeah, and Robin, link the action there. Link the action. Yeah, maybe you'll find some love. He tells me we should hang out again and that it was fun the last time we did. A few of my peers from my class overhear this and make comments on what he was doing with my pictures that night. Ew. I avoid him like the plague the remainder of the year. He graduated after my junior year was completed, thankfully. I move about 20 minutes away at the start of senior year and start working at the local movie theater. And that's where he finds me next. He comes in with his mom and I'm at the concession stand and have to wait on them. They make weekly trips to the theater and always get in my line for concessions. We make no small talk during these interactions, but I understand. Why do they always choose my line? He starts to frequent the movies alone and try to talk to me at the concession stand on slow nights. For a while, he was there twice a week. I started calling, telling my coworkers that he's my stalker. Someone tells me they heard a coworker of ours give him detailed information of my typical work schedule. I was mad and stopped being friends with that coworker immediately. She then gives him my cell number out of spite. Meanwhile, every time I see him come to the concession stand, I try to hide in the back room to avoid him. I start to get calls every night from the same number. The caller wouldn't typically leave messages or anything, however, There was one really creepy message of some heavy breathing that was left. I asked my dad to help me block that number. We went to the cell provider and they said I can't block one number. It's either block all numbers or none at all. So I don't do anything. Dad doesn't want to change my cell phone number. And I graduate. Haven't seen any... Whoops. Cheyenne Dora Bob with the 5 says, yeah, join the Discord to see the pic of my old man dog. JK, it's such a positive place to be. Absolutely love interacting with people in there. Nice. Thank you, Cheyenne. Yeah, I love seeing your pups. Because people, yeah, besides posting selfies and stuff like that, because it's cool. You can post like an about you or an introduction or something like that, and then you can post in selfies. You can post your pets, which getting daily pictures of everyone's cat and dogs is always fun. And there's all sorts of random other little things you can post in there. Like if you do art, you can post your art, your writing, discuss different topics that are, maybe more serious as well. It's really a lot of creativity, and there's a fun voice chat in there that definitely worth joining. Our buddy Jensen finds his way in there from time to time and makes it very entertaining. KFC Man with the $4 for you. Thank you. Thank you, my good friend. Cup of coffee. Move 20 minutes away. Try the back room. She gives my cell phone a spike. I start to get calls every night. Dad doesn't change, so I graduate. Okay, yeah, here it is. So I graduate. Trisha, no worries. Trish, no worries. No, never feel obligated to donate. I'm just gonna be streaming anyway, or not streaming, but recording anyways for the video tomorrow. So this is just a fun way to get everybody in here and keep me sane while, because honestly, recording stories in my room by myself can be very insanity-inducing at times. So, I graduate. Haven't had any interaction with Goggles since I started to hide from him at my job, and the random calls became less frequent. Until I went to Wendy's with my friend and am wearing a miniskirt and tank top. We get behind the first customer in line, who was paying all in change, and I realize it's him. I freak out inside and whisper to my friend that it's my stalker, and I hope he doesn't notice me. Of course he notices me as soon as he turns around. He checks me out and asks, "Hey, did you go to this high school?" My friend stupidly says, "Yeah, we did." He then asks for me by name, and my friend says, "Yeah, that's her." I wanted to smack my friend for saying this to him. He says to me that I look really good and asks if he could sit with us when we get our food. I quickly tell him no. He then goes to find a seat and we order. I want to leave ASAP at this point. My friend wants to eat there and she won't leave with me. So we sit down and Goggles changes chairs to sit at the table right next to ours. I ate quickly and in silence, and it was so awkward. He kept asking where I was living now, as he saw I no longer lived in my old house. I didn't tell him anything and said he didn't need to know. I see him the next time at the local grocery store. He's retrieving carts from the lot. I had no idea he worked there, but when I saw him, I ran inside as quickly as I could, hoping he wouldn't see me. And you know what? He did. He stopped oh shit. Pradeep just slammed his body really hard into the door. Let me let him in real quick.
You're crazy. You're insane.
Oh my god. My cat's nuts. It's like if he suddenly wants attention, he'll just smash his body into the door to get in. It's pretty funny, but also scary sometimes. I said to him I didn't need to follow me around. Oh, okay. He stopped retrieving. Okay. My dog's name. It's my cat. His name is Pradeep. Per deep, yes, thank you, Lorelli. He stopped retrieving carts to follow me from the parking lot into the store, referred to me as Miss, and asked me in 2 different aisles if he could help me find anything. I told him no both times. When I was ready to check out, he opened up his own cashier lane and another worker ushered me over to him. I said to him he didn't need to follow me around the store or open up a lane for me, but he said he wanted to help me and that we should hang out sometime. I told him he needs to leave me alone. I am attending community college, and guess who is also there? Goggles. I notice him following me on my routes to classes, and he starts to wait outside the art classroom I'm in for me to leave. Fuck. That felt weird. I notice him following me on routes to my class, and he starts waiting outside the art classroom I'm in for me to leave to follow me again. One day, I'm waiting on getting coffee from the vending machine, and he runs up to me and greets me like I'm his long-lost friend. He gives me a tight, long hug in the hallway. I'm mortified and am standing there with arms flat at my side, not hugging back. He finishes the hug, and I say, "Was that necessary? Don't ever touch me again." I ended up dropping that class to avoid him and file a police report. This is the last time I saw him. I've since moved multiple times, and I think he finally got the hint. I don't ever know why he chased me or followed me for so long. Maybe I was just too nice. The zombies are attacking. The zombies are attacking. Yeah, that chick was clearly way too nice. Years of that guy being a weirdo. Goggles as in swimming goggles. How's that? Yeah, well, they said he had big sort of spectacles that he wears as glasses. They called him Goggles. That was his high school nickname. Zombie. Alright, this is the last story of the evening. Yeah, Coke bottle glasses. This happened about 1.5 years ago. So there was this parkway that I used to always drive to. It was just a single road that went up a mountain with quite a few pull-offs where you could see these beautiful views. This one specific pull-off is one that I would go to the most. It was a place where you had to go through some trees but would end up on a rock that looked over a huge mountain view. I would go to this when I felt like I needed to breathe and take a break from life. It took me about 20 minutes to drive to that specific spot after entering the park itself. So one day I decided that I needed to just let myself breathe and drove up. All was normal. It was actually a pretty day with the bright skies and puffy clouds around maybe 3 p.m. On the way driving to the spot, I passed quite a few cars. Not many. It was normal to see cars, but not a lot when it's the middle of a weekday. I got to my spot, relaxed for maybe 20 to 30 minutes, then decided that helped, but Sydney with the 2 buckaroos. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you. Good to see you. Goggles wants to fondle. That's true. What a devotion he had, though. My goodness. Then decided that helped, but was time to head down. Pretty sure my boyfriend was about to get off work. So I started heading down, and maybe at about 5 or 10 minutes into it, I see a red car parked on the side of the road with its hazards on. I right away remember seeing that car on the way up, but didn't think anything of it. Maybe they just heard or saw something and needed to check out their car. I, though, did not pull over to check if they needed help. Like I'm a good person and all, but I've heard all the stories. I'm gonna just keep driving. I also know that it's in the middle of the day, but... excuse me. I also know that it's in the middle of the day, but I just honestly think I wouldn't be able to help them even if I wanted to. And this is when it got weird. Right, and I... Wait. Oh, okay. Oh, Doom Eternal. Oh, shit. Yeah, dude. That comes out tonight along with Animal Crossing. Are you guys getting that shit? Dude, that's... looks pretty legit. Too legit to quit. Also, there's so many games coming out. So many good games, too. It's Animal Crossing, Doom Eternal. I got I got Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And then, what else was there? There was Half-Life Alyx, which looks so good. It's VR, but man, I want to try it so badly. But I feel like I'm not going to because I don't really have a VR setup situation and I don't really know how that all works. Though I might borrow... I might borrow a friend of mine's VR thing. But God, there's so many games. And then there's Final Fantasy 7 Remake that's coming out. And then I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 3 Remake is in April as well. So it's just like, holy shit, there's so many games like to compete for my time, my money, and my attention. And my sticky fingers as well. Right, and I mean right when I passed them. They turned off the hazard lights and got behind me. Still at this moment no red flags are going off. Maybe they figured out the problem was just waiting for me to pass to get back on the road. The only thing is, at this point, they were really riding my bumper. Like it didn't matter how much I sped up, they were right there with me. At this point, I look at my phone to realize my boyfriend has texted me. Obviously, I'm not going to text and drive. I'm on a swervy mountain and a car that is not letting me be, so I make a plan. I will quickly get off into a pull-off to text him back, and if this car does decide to follow me, I'll get back onto the road and won't stop. I was thinking rational, but was paranoid at the same time. I'm driving at least 60 miles per hour down this road. Speed limit was like 45, and the first pull-off I see, I quickly turn on my blinker and turn really fast into it. Wasn't smart, but didn't know what else to do. But thank God the guy actually didn't turn into the pull-off with me. I take a sigh of relief and concluded that I was overreacting. So I thought. I text my boyfriend back, sit there for another 5 or more minutes just to make sure the car would be out of the park by now before continuing back down. So I'm literally about to be at the end of the park before I have to turn onto the highway to head back to my town. I see the now leaving sign, but that's not the only thing I see. Right on the side of the road, the same car was parked. At this point, Anna S. with the 5 says, love your videos and give Pradeep an extra treat. I will, Anna, thank you. He's just laying there cute now. Animal Crossing. Goggles want to fondle. Calum with the 1. Thank you, Calum. Okay. I see the now leaving sign, but that's not the only thing I see. Right on the side of the road, the same car was parked. At this point, I now knew something for a fact wasn't right, and again, right when I passed them, they pulled out right behind me. Oh no. I raced my car as fast as I could to the highway, barely stopped to make sure cars weren't coming. I just pulled my car out as fast as I could, left onto that highway. I looked to see in my rearview mirror, and they did the same thing. They're still right behind me. It wasn't even a question anymore of are they following me. It's how do I lose them to stop following me. So I did what any sane person would do. I sped like an insane person. They were behind me for probably another 3 more minutes before I started going into and out of cars to lose him. It worked, and at this point I think they slowed down because they realized they couldn't have done anything anymore with how many people were around now. I knew I felt bad for the way I was driving around, but I was too scared to think what to do otherwise. Look, this could have been just someone trying to play around and scare me, but it worked. I know this isn't as creepy as other stories I've read on here, and sorry if it's too long, but it did give me an adrenaline rush. Also, no, there was nothing wrong with my car. They never tried to pull me over or anything like that. They just ended up passing me when I was going up and decided to wait for me to drive down. So who'd ever... Yeah. Look, this could have been just someone trying to play around and scare me, but all I need to say is it worked. It worked. Oh, there's spam bots? Wait. Is that what you guys... I know there's spam bots because I clicked and didn't get sex. Oh, damn. Fuck, there's spam. I can't believe they would even... Well, normally they don't have links. I think I don't allow links in chats anyways. What consoles I got? Well, I have a Switch, and I have a PS4, and I probably would obviously play Animal Crossing on the Switch, and also play Doom on the PC, and played Ori on the PC. Really haven't gotten much use out of my PS4. I was going to get that game Dreams, but because you can just like make a game or something like that, but I saw a lot of the games that were coming out, and even though they were neat, they were not quite, I guess, up to what I had anticipated. Which I feel bad because I kind of like talked my roommate into getting it and then never even touched it. I mean, he played it like once, but yeah, Doom should be pretty sick. Huh. Arabelle Love... Tap photo. Also The Exorcist. Huh, interesting. What are they talking about? Are they spam bots or are they actual people? Like, I legit can't. Unless their name is just... If they're actual spam bots, then you can just ban them. Like, they'll be the first people that I ban, but I mean... I don't... It's fine, you can do whatever, but... Sweet cheeks. See you later, sweet cheek. She says, good night, y'all. Oh, so she... Maybe it is. Yeah, it seems like a spam bot. That's odd. Thought bots. Thought bots, activate. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to click and subscribe. Fuck, how did I mess that up? Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to... I'm fucking up right now. I think my mind is somewhere else. All the click here, tap photo accounts are spam. Okay. I love listening to your photos when I'm doing makeup in the morning. Because that seems... Listen to my stories when doing makeup in the morning. I mean, that seems like a real human being, but... I mean, Tegan, sex chat, join me, tap photo. Like... If you're a real person, I would like you to verify that now, otherwise you're getting banned. It's quite strange that they would mention about... Or even if they aren't, I mean... I would advise no one to click there. Genevieve, hot chat, join me. I'm live, playing Animal Crossing now. Kimberly, there's a million bots, lol. So are you a real person? Like, that's weird. I'm sorry, I feel like I got pulled into that bot conversation midway, so I didn't even get to see if, like... I don't know. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that Dude, how am I messing this up? Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, goggles wanna fondle. Says, what the fuck? Not 18, okay. That's so strange. Spam, it's like it seems like a person. Yeah, I mean, can you guys ban them? Is that possible, or can you only, like, time them out? I don't really know. It's whatever. Yeah, don't click their face. I don't even know. Let's Read is not a bot. That's true. Yeah, Doom Eternal time. Wanna fondle me. Well, guys, yes, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope you continue to do well in this time. These stories will be out first on Patreon, as I said before, so if you're really into it, you can join there. Join the Discord, interact with me, follow me on social media, all that good stuff. It's all linked down below. But I love you guys. Stay healthy. Wash your hands and your ass, as I always say. And take a bunch of hippy-dippy vitamins and vitamin C and stuff so your immune system is not trash when Corona-chan cometh. Alright, guys. I love you. Go have fun. Enjoy life. Even if you're isolated. Don't let the man get you down. And I'm right there with you. Join the Discord if you want to chat.